What is going on, Notre Dame fans? Mike Singer and Tim Hyde from Blue and Gold with our final thoughts, observation, and prediction video. Lots to talk about before Marshall and Notre Dame tee off here on Saturday. Tee off, square off, battle. I don't know, whatever the right word is there. It's been a long week. Kickoff. How about that? Before they kick off, go ahead and hit the thumbs up on this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel if you have not done so yet. So Tim, yeah, you got to feel pretty good for it seems more like a tune-up game, to kind of correct some things and kind of get the guys rolling before a bit of a tougher opponent next week against Cal.
Oh, yes. I mean, this is the game, Dr. Swarbrick should have got game one than the Buckeyes, right? There's a little tune-up, but no, I actually loved seeing Notre Dame open up last week as a big Super Bowl. It was just awesome. It was an awesome way to kick off college football, see where you're at, and now let's move forward. We know where Notre Dame stands after that heavyweight tilt in Columbus, Ohio, and now let's get ready for, Marshall and, obviously a group of five team and whatnot, but a bowl team, a team that's made a bunch of bowls in the last decade. So a very respectable, football program. And obviously they got, a guy who's got some championship rings from being on Nick Saban's staff at Alabama and Coach Huff. So I'm expecting a good football team. I mean, Marshall produces a handful of NFL players quite often. So it's a really good, group of five football program that they're going to play. And as we said in our Wednesday night show, Marcus Freeman needs a win. And I think these guys are going to come out riled up and come out and, play their hearts out this Saturday in South Bend.
All right, we're going to go through our Tim's keys for the game. We record this on Thursday nights so we can, have that Marcus Freeman press conference that goes Thursday at noon to get that updated information. And it was a big development today that Jarrett Patterson is essentially, cleared. He's not on the injury report. Marcus Freeman said he expects him to play. So that's got to give this offensive line a big boost, Tim, and that's your number one key.
That was definitely my number one key. Now that we got a game, under the belts, we got some film since basically fall camp was closed outside of a couple stretching lines. The blue and gold writers got to go witness. We saw them, and they were missing their All-American. Jarrett Patterson's going into his fourth year as a starter. So it's not, he's a guy with a lot of football under his belt, and they missed him in Columbus. So hopefully he is healthy. Coach Freeman talked about that today, where he is going to play. He's back. So if he's back there 100%, ready to go out there and have a good ball game. And I think, we've been on the message board. We've talked about as well in our shows and even in the post-game show, just about the O-line, what happened, what's wrong. And it's like before anyone else goes crazy or whatnot, let's take a pause and let's see Coach Hiestan's five he picked to start fall camp that went through 90% of fall camp together. Let's see them play a football game together, this week in Marshall before we see, is there a change? Does someone need to move? Does Patterson have to go back to center? That hasn't been the plan since spring. Let's play some football with what the coaching staff has wanted all along to happen. So I'm really looking forward to getting Patterson back. And really, you could talk run game, pass game, all those things. I think the number one thing is the pass blocking. It was so suspect against Ohio State. Sure, Ohio State's got some great football players, as we know, but the pass blocking, the communication in the pass blocking is the most important thing, that I'm looking forward to seeing in the Marshall game.
All right, and then moving to number two. Tim, you talked about if Notre Dame's going to beat Ohio State, they need that pass rush from that defensive line, and they took Foskey out of the game, and I know you were very high on that Ohio State offensive line, so looking for a big bounce-back game from this Irish defensive line.
Yeah, I mean, I should probably quit talking about the D-line since they were my pick to be the game MVP in the Fiesta Bowl. It did not happen, and obviously I thought that was the biggest key in the football game last week. Sure, they held Ohio State to 21 points, well under their, the yards, under 400. I mean, they did amazing overall stats for a football game. It looked impressive, but the D-line was not strong. It was not strong in the run game. Obviously, only one sack, which came from, Howard Cross at nose guard in the first series of the game to start the game. So my number two thing is the pass rush. I want to see a relentless pass rush. I want to see these guys just tee off and go after it. I saw a stat where Marshall's replacing 130 career starts off of this offensive line. It's 130. They had two offensive linemen in fall camps. I was doing some homework on them. So that's a lot of football starts that they have to replace. And obviously Notre Dame needs to go out there and have a good game. And Foskey needs to be the ringleader. He's the guy. He's the preseason All-American. Preseason first team AP All-American up there at the defensive end spot. So he needs to have a great game. A handful of these guys are going to be in the NFL. And I know they're frustrated with what happened in Columbus. I think they're going to come out there and be the leaders for this football game, which we expect out there, is the Notre Dame fan base.
So, Tim, Tyler Buckner completed 2 passes in the second half against the Buckeyes. If you're a Notre Dame fan and if I told you that Tyler Buckner is going to complete 2 passes in the second half of the Marshall game, you're hoping that it's because Notre Dame's up 50-0 at halftime and they just run the ball and then he gets taken out. That's got to be a key to this game is get the receivers involved. No Notre Dame receiver had more than a reception against Ohio State. I would say get Buckner over 20 pass attempts. Get him some real, game action where just Buckner drop back passing.
No, I agree. And the strength of this Marshall team is on their defensive side. This is a really good defensive football team that has a bunch of guys coming back in the secondary with a lot of experience there. So, yeah, I mean, you look at the game there in Columbus against the number 2 Ohio State. Only 3 receptions out of the wide receivers. And we talked in the after show and in our live show on Wednesday as well. Like, okay, if you're going to be a 12 team, if Kevin Bauman and Mayer are going to be out there 3/4 of the time, so be it. What's the passing attack going to be to the wide receivers out of that 12 personnel? And we'll see if they're going to carry that on. Obviously, that was the package last week to control the clock, eat up time of possession, things of that nature. So CJ Stroud and company don't have it, but are they going to come out and go 11 personnel? Are they going to spread it out more? Are we going to see more wide receiver sets? And I think that's a big, big thing moving forward because after this Marshall game, you're going Cal, Pac-12, UNC on the road, ACC. And then obviously you get ready for the big tilt in BYU that's playing a top 10 team in Baylor this week. So we're going to learn a lot about them. So the passing attack, I think everything stems, you look at my 3 keys, the pass rush, pass blocking, and Tyler Buckner has to go out there, sling this ball around, get some confidence because there's some big, big football games coming up against some outstanding football teams.
That's one of my biggest things, Tim. One of my core beliefs of football is you got to have a good quarterback, you got to protect your quarterback, and you got to go get the other team's quarterback. And that's basically what you're saying here. Yeah. So we are in alignment there. So we're going to go to score prediction time. For what it's worth, I've got Notre Dame 41, Marshall 13. Okay. There's a website called OddShark. This is not a plug for OddShark or anything, but I always go to the site to kind of look at the line history, and you can see down on the left-hand side, it opened at 18.5, and now it's at 20.5. So Notre Dame, just about a 3-touchdown favorite, but their little algorithm has Notre Dame 33.5, which you can round up to 34, Marshall 31, which seems very close to that Toledo score line last year of 32-29. I want to say it was just a field goal separating. OddShark thinks it's 34-31. But more importantly, what does Tim Hyde think the score prediction will be?
Mike, if this football game's 33-31, get your popcorn ready, right? Because that's
well, a lot more than popcorn, Tim.
We're gonna, exactly. We're gonna have a lot of talking to do next week, but
I went shop for sure. I'll need our CBD sponsor.
Yes. I went, I went back to 2017 since I always throw out 2016. I never want to look at those numbers, but since 2017. They're going to be playing Marshall here, and this is going to be the 8th group of 5 team that they're playing. I did not count Cincinnati. If someone starts counting the numbers, they're going to the Big 12. I consider them a Power 5 program now. So I just went with the non-ones there. And what's fascinating, they've only played 2 bowl teams. And in those 2 bowl teams that they played, was Temple and they played Toledo last year. And the average score, you showed the line opened up at 18.5. The average score, which is fascinating, is 40.5 to 22.5, 18 points. I'm telling you, these guys I'm not a gambler or better, but the guys in Vegas always know something. So they opened it up at 18 looking at that. So I really focus on those two scores. So can Notre Dame get in the 40s? I'm going to say no. I think they're going to, I'm not going to say struggle or whatnot, but I think they're going to be aggressive and go from there. So I'm going to take 3 off of both teams, and I am going to go 37-19. I'm going to keep it right at that number, 37-19. Notre Dame is my wild score there. I don't know how they get to it, but that's what I'm going with.
I love every week Tim Hyde giving us his score prediction, how he comes up with it. It's always a staple here at Blue and Gold on our YouTube page. And make sure that you guys go ahead and hit the thumbs up on our video here, subscribe to our channel. And as always, we will catch you next time.